let me just start off by saying this is a special episode. And you know why? Because my favorite holiday is coming up this weekend. And you know what that holiday is. It is Mother's Day. And could I think of a more important holiday, a more important day to honor than all of the mamas, right? Mother's Day. Let's everybody, yay for Mother's Day! Yay! Okay, because mothers need a day that we're going to honor ourselves and have everybody honor us, because we all know it is the most important job in the world. And you know, I just love the whole concept of being able to take a day where we say, you know, this is our tribute to mothers. So I wanted to wish, first, before we start the whole evening, I wanted to wish you all a very happy Mother's Day. Whether you have a baby on the inside or a baby on the outside, you are still a mother and you get to celebrate this year. So let's all welcome Lynette. Hello, Lynette. Are you there?
I'm here.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Oh, we're so glad to have you. Thank you for being with me.
I'm very happy to be there.
Oh, awesome. We're really glad. You know, this was a topic that we've been, you know, it's come around to the point where we really need to be talking about it again. I think we covered it on a show. It's been months already since the last time we covered this topic, and you weren't with me. And, you know, I learned so much just from our conversation together. I thought this time you need to explain it to them a little bit more, because you're just so knowledgeable in this field.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
I'm happy to help.
Oh, awesome. Could you describe a little how you got started, Lynette, with the company and when your background is?
Sure. Well, I'm a nurse, and I'm also a mom of two, and I started my company. The inspiration for it was sparked when I was visiting families with new babies in their homes, and I saw that the new parents were struggling with learning how to swaddle for two reasons. They did not have the right kind of blanket. The blankets they had were either too small or too thick, and the other problem that the parents consistently told me was they could not remember how to make a good secure swaddle.
Yeah.
So I wanted to help those new parents. I searched the market. There was nothing out on the market. This was in 2002, and so I decided to use my healthcare background and my design education from the Art Institute of Seattle, and I designed what we called the ultimate swaddling blanket.
Yes.
And much larger than a typical receiving blanket, and it's lightweight, it's breathable. It's made of flannel, which is what hospitals use to swaddle babies, and the neat thing about our blanket is that it has the instructions sewn right to the edge of the blanket, a cute pictorial showing new parents how to make a good secure swaddle.
No, it's such an awesome blanket. And you know, when you said you started in 2002, and I smiled to myself because I think that's when I met you and Jeff.
Yeah, that's right. You were one of our very first customers. That's right.
I remember walking up, and you had, I think, like 5 colors at that time, and now you have like 200 different styles, right? And I said, finally, a blanket that's big enough.
Yes.
And I just thought, what a great thing. It's been so great to watch you guys grow.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been a lot of work, but it's great work because even though I'm no longer practicing in the hospital as a nurse, I'm still helping new parents, and that's a really wonderful feeling.
Yes.
Just met a dad today that told me, you know, I loved those instructions right on the blanket. He just thought that was the neatest thing because he could make a good secure swaddle, and he felt really helpful to his wife.
Yep. It's such a simple idea, but such a brilliant idea, really. I want to honor you for that. It was a great thing, and the size of the blanket is so important. And also, you know, about the flannel, you didn't mention, and I want to just say that the fact that it doesn't stretch makes it very easy to keep a nice secure swaddle too.
Yeah, it has like just the right amount of stretch. It's not real stiff, but when it's used on the bias, it does have a little bit of give, which is important when you're trying to swaddle. But you don't want something that's so stretchy that you you end up wrapping too tightly.
Yes, yes.
Or if there's some babies who are little Houdinis that with a really stretchy fabric,
yes,
they can get out of much too easily. So you want something that gently supports the baby in its natural position.
Totally, totally. I think it's just perfect the way you've made it. Let's talk a little bit about swaddling, because there's been some misinformation, some controversy lately, right, about the whole idea of swaddling, and about the whole concept of whether the baby gets too hot, too cold, what's the right temperature. Let's talk a little bit about that temperature regulation.
Sure. Well, it's really an important responsibility of the parent or the caregiver to dress the baby appropriately for sleep. And I'm sure, how many of your followers have heard about overheating? Can I see how many people know about overheating?
How many people know about overheating, not to overheat your baby? Yes, they're all going, I have.
And then how about over-chilling? How many people know about over-chilling as a risk factor?
Does anybody know? Does anybody know that you're not supposed to chill the baby? No. See, they're saying no here.
Yeah, okay. So that's something important that we should talk about, because overheating is a risk factor. It's not the leading risk factor, but it's something that parents should know about. But very importantly, parents should also know about over-chilling. So that's a basic neonatal care, is to make sure your baby is comfortably warm. So one of my important beliefs is that parents really need that accurate information so they can make informed choices. So to help parents remember, we've come up with what's called the Goldilocks guide. Baby should not be too hot, they should not be too cold, and baby should be comfortably warm.
Yes.
So a lightweight, breathable fabric, choosing a fabric that is appropriate for your environment. So in cooler to moderate temperatures, we recommend flannel. Flannel is what's used in the hospitals. And if you are in an environment that's very warm, you would want to consider a lightweight, open weave, breathable fabric, and we have what's called marquisette. So in our new Swaddle Duo, we've put both of those blankets together in the set so that there's you're prepared. Parents are prepared for fluctuations in the weather as well.
No, it's excellent. Actually, we're going to show a picture of the new set, because that's the prize tonight. Let's take a look at it for a minute. And I think it's really important what you just said, making sure that you're using the appropriate blanket for the appropriate setting and temperature. And this was such a great way for you to get that message out of having one for each season, right?
Yes. And it's important for parents to know that there's really no blanket that's going to allow your baby to naturally regulate itself. That's really the parent's job. So we give a general guide, just as the AAP does. American Academy of Pediatrics recommends that parents dress their baby like they would dress themselves, and no more than one layer more. Yeah. Think about what you would use to be comfortable in the same environment, and then dress your baby appropriately according to the current temperature of your environment.
Lynette, is there a way to tell whether your baby is too warm or too cold? Because I know, like, when I encourage parents, feeling their hands is not the way to do it. Their hands are usually very chilled anyway.
Right. So you want to it's very easy to tell. I mean, if your baby is getting too warm, you can see that their cheeks are getting really pink and they're starting to look really flushed. But it's very easy to just touch and feel your baby on their neck, more importantly on their tummy or their back. Their tummy and their back should be warm and dry. They should really not be really sweaty. Some babies sweat just normally. They do sweat a little bit, but your baby should not be hot and flushed to the touch. And like Shari was saying, if their hands are cool, that's considered okay, as long as their tummy and back, chest are warm and dry. Their circulatory system is very immature, so yeah, cool hands are considered okay.
Right.
I'm also seeing a lot of questions about the fans in the room, and also the room thermometers. And the room thermometers, are an okay idea to use. The AAP hasn't come out and set a strict guideline on room temperature. From what I've learned in the research that I've done, is 65 to 70 degrees is about the temperature range that most medical experts recommend for a sleep environment.
Yes.
Not everybody has air conditioning, and so you do need to pay attention to that. You guys don't need to become thermal engineers.
Yes.
It's not that hard. Just touch and feel your baby, and think about what you would wear, and you guys will be okay.
And if your room is really warm in the summer, I always tell parents that the only essential clothing they really need is a diaper and the swaddle. So if you really feel like you need to take their clothes off, you could swaddle them just in a diaper to keep them cooler.
That's right. So just a diaper and the blanket might be sufficient.
Yes.
And sometimes if the weather's really warm, like 90 degrees, maybe there's no swaddle at all. Maybe the baby's just in a little onesie and the diaper.
Exactly.
And at that temperature,
yeah.
they're going to be pretty relaxed.
Go get in the pool if it's that temperature.
Yes. Yeah. And then I'm also seeing some people email or put on the chat board here about the room temperature of 61 to 68 degrees, and think about that, guys. 61 is
cool.
Really pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, if the room temperature is that cool, some of the room thermometers have you don't want to take those recommendations for really cold temperature out of context. Those are usually in relationship to TOG. TOG is what's used in the UK or in Europe for it's a thermal resistance of a textile. So if you see, you might see some correlations. For example, we have our Zip Me Sacks, which have a TOG rating of 2.2, and for that TOG rating, the sleep environment for that TOG rating is usually about 65 to 70 degrees.
Gotcha.
So pay attention. Don't take those recommendations for room temperature out of context of TOG.
Yes. Okay, that's a really good point. That's a really, really good point. There's actually, I wanted to show a little video here. The first video we're going to show, a couple months ago, I had the privilege to shoot a few videos for Baby Center. And we shot about 4 videos. 2 of the 4 are up, and there's 2 more ready to come out that we're still waiting for. They take quite a while to do the editing. They're not as quick as Taylor here to get them up and running. But one of the videos was on swaddling, and I was able to use your ultimate swaddling blanket in the video. So I wanted to show that part of the clip because it was a good way to demonstrate the 2 different ways to swaddle a baby using the blanket. So we're going to take a second and show that video.
Using the right size blanket will make the job easier.
When I say large blanket, I mean a large blanket, not a receiving blanket, and not the blankets that you would get in the hospital. Those will last you about a week, and what happens is the baby will bust out.
Shari Criso, a nurse and midwife in Denville, New Jersey, has helped deliver and swaddle more than 600 babies. There are several different ways to swaddle a baby. Shari will demonstrate one common technique.
You want to get something that's at least 40 by 40 inches. This is going to make swaddling so easy. If the baby is bigger, you're going to fold less down. If the baby is smaller, you're going to fold more down. Okay, so we're going to go somewhere in the middle. That's going to hold him in so that he doesn't bust out, and it'll help him sleep better at night. You want to make sure that you put him right in the center and have it come up right to where his shoulders are. Take the first hand, it's sort of down and to his side so his elbow is still flexed. Okay? I'm going to take this side and I'm going to bring it all the way around and take this arm out. Roll him onto his side and tuck it under his body. I'm going to pick up this corner and I'm going to bring it up. You want to have enough room where they can kick their feet, but also that they feel like they're kicking against something. Now it's this arm's turn, and we're going to bring that one down with a little bit of flexion in the elbow, okay? And tuck this right behind his shoulder.
Put one hand on your baby's chest to hold the blanket in place. With the other, grasp the last section of fabric about 5 inches away from your baby's neck. Fold it over his chest, pulling it to get a snug fit.
Create a V-neck and put my thumb right there. This is securing it all. What's left is the last tail. We're actually going to go up over the shoulder. Pull this tight, bring it around, and pull. Now I have a pocket to tuck into. And now your baby is totally secure and happy and smiling.
You can also swaddle your baby in a way that leaves his hands free so he can suck on his fingers and self-soothe. Bend his arms at his chest so his hands are up by his face. When you fold the first corner of the blanket over your baby's body, make sure his arms are tucked in and his hands are peeking out of the top. Other than that, the steps for swaddling are the same as before.
When I bring this around, I'm going to pull real tight and then tuck it right in.
Not only does swaddling help babies stay calm and sleep better, it may reduce the risk of SIDS, but make sure to swaddle your baby securely. If the blanket unravels, it'll be loose in the crib with your baby, which increases the risk of SIDS.
All right, awesome, awesome. So that was an interesting day. That took a long time to film. It seems easier when we're watching it back, but it's great because it just really showed there's 2 different ways to actually swaddle your baby. Let's talk a little bit about swaddling and the how important it is and what you can do, whether the arms should be out, should be in. What is the best way to swaddle, Lynette?
Well, we recommend swaddling as a first choice with babies' hands up within reach of their mouth. There's been a lot of research by experts in the field of infant research. They feel that it's so important for babies to have access to their hands so they can suck on them for self-soothing. They get a lot of comfort out of sucking on their fingers, and then also for baby cues, because when babies can suck on their fingers vigorously, parents can see that the baby is hungry. They can respond to the baby quickly and appropriately and feed the baby, and that they believe helps to build trust. That's a first choice. Now, for a second choice, we recommend one hand up, one hand down. And then as a third choice, we recommend the baby have both hands down with inside the swaddle. And then you can offer a pacifier. But very importantly, we recommend, as you saw Shari do in the video, that all the joints are in a natural and flexed position. Mm-hmm. So you never want to straighten out the knees. You don't want to straighten out the hips. You want to support the baby in their natural position, and that also means the elbow should be flexed as well. Yes. Even if it's down inside the swaddle, you want that elbow flexed for proper joint development.
Yes, and that the whole point about the knees, I always swaddle babies with enough room to kick their legs.
Yes. You want them to be able to stretch and move their legs. You don't want to pull their legs straight. You're not trying to straighten them out. You're trying to support them in their natural position.
Yes. No, it's great.
And then I also saw somebody saying, how long should we swaddle? We recommend swaddling until baby's about 3 months old. And that's about the time when the startle reflex or the Moro reflex disappears. So at that time, baby's ready to move on to other things. They're ready to explore more with their hands. And then once that baby's able to roll over, you really don't want to swaddle with their hands inside the swaddle. That's really a great time to transition baby out of the swaddle and into a wearable blanket. Certainly there's some babies who love to be swaddled longer and they get a lot of comfort out of it. You can swaddle underneath their arms in that case, but we do recommend a wearable blanket at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, we do have people who swaddle a little bit longer than that, and there's been some questions about that. Can you do it longer than the first 3 months? Some babies do sleep better when they're secure and swaddle, but you just got to make sure that they're secure.
That's right.
Awesome, awesome. The other question that came in about swaddling was the whole idea of SIDS, and is there a risk? We talk about SIDS, and there's so many different concepts and thoughts and recommendations when it comes to SIDS, and it seems like every day there's like a new thing and a new worry about SIDS and what causes it. Let's talk a little bit about SIDS prevention and the best ways to help you prevent your baby from SIDS.
Sure. I think the most important thing is that people continue to put their babies on their backs to sleep. So if you are swaddling your baby, you want to put your baby on his or her back. That's very important. They have done studies that show that swaddled back sleeping babies have lower incidence of SIDS. They actually say significant lower risk of SIDS than unswaddled back sleeping babies. So that's important to know.
Yes.
There's the great benefit of the fact that swaddled babies do sleep better. There's been a lot of studies that show that babies who are swaddled do sleep better. They have twice as much REM sleep as unswaddled babies, and they believe that REM sleep, the rapid eye movement sleep, is important for brain development.
Yes.
So it's a good thing.
And it's also it's important to know that, and I think a lot of people don't know, that when a baby does not sleep well in infancy, that time that's lost is really never caught up. And they've shown that babies that are chronically sleep deprived in the first year have higher incidences of ADD and different kinds of developmental issues from not sleeping. They're also more at risk for insomnia later on. So it's important to make sure that your baby's getting adequate sleep, and so keeping your baby awake for long stretches of time and not allowing them to sleep, or not swaddling them when that's obviously what they're needing to stay soothed is important to consider.
And also, I think people are worried about their baby rolling over onto their stomach when the baby is, 5 or 6 months old. That's totally fine. The baby has the strength at that time to lift its head and move its head. So, of course, you're not swaddling at that time, preferably, but they're in a wearable blanket. Yes, go ahead and put your baby on their back to sleep, and an older baby who's able to roll over, and that's fine.
Yes.
The doctors feel that's fine.
I think as soon as they're strong enough to be able to roll away or to lift their head, the chances of them suffocating into the mattress, I just can't imagine that they're going to do that.
Right. They can lift their head when they have the strength to roll from their back onto their stomach. They can lift their head and move their head.
Well, that brings up a question that came up quite a bit in the questions that were submitted tonight, and I don't know if there was if I can name out one particular person because it came up several times about the whole. Oh, here's one. This is Katie from Florida. Wanted to know, what about bumpers or no bumpers, breathable bumpers? Like, what's the whole deal with bumpers? Because in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, but I keep thinking, if a baby is strong enough to roll themselves all the way over to a bumper, aren't they at that point strong enough to lift their head away?
Yeah, that's a good question. And when I say they, I'm referring to the American Academy of Pediatrics is discouraging the use of sleep positioners and bumpers. And years ago, in 2005, the American Academy of Pediatrics did put out their SIDS recommendation. 2005 was their last recommendations, and they recommended no bumpers or very flat, thin bumpers at that time. They really want to avoid the big, pillowy bumpers. So they recommend no bumpers or very thin, flat bumpers, or no bumpers at all.
Yes. It's
the big, pillowy ones that you really need to be careful of.
Right, for the babies rolling. Yeah, I got it. And now they have bumpers that can go on to the actual, they're breathable bumpers that they can breathe through. Is that what they are that everybody's talking about?
I think the breathable breathable bumpers, the ones that are the mesh net. I see no issues in those. I think, again, you would need to make sure that they're securely fastened. You have to make sure that they're, fastened down below the mattress so that that's not an entrapment risk itself. So I think something like a breathable mesh, at this point, I don't think they're discouraging the use of that type of bumper.
Yeah, I mean, I guess with the bumpers like that, they can still get trapped in between the bumper and the crib, so and it could still cause a suffocation risk. The biggest risk I saw with my bumpers 9 years ago when I was still using bumpers was my daughter using them as a step ladder to climb out of her crib.
Right, right. And with the mesh bumpers, that's just going to wrinkle down under their weight, so they couldn't use it as a step to get out.
She would catapult herself. I was like, how is she doing this? Little ninja who would climb out of her crib.
They're so clever.
I had to peek in the door to see how she actually did it. They're so smart. They're just so smart. Speaking of smart daughters, I have another video that I really want to show Lynette.
Okay.
This was a video Lynette sent over to me just for my own pleasurable viewing, and I said, I got to show this. This is Lynette's daughter, Alexa. How old is she in the video here when she shot this video? Her first professional video.
Yeah, she's very creative that way. She loves to make videos, and it's funny because she's very shy. She's 9.
Oh, she's not. Okay, great. Like my daughter, yeah. So Lynette's daughter, who's 9, created a little video. She was swaddling her paper dolls in this video, and it is just so cute. And it just made me laugh because I think to myself, I can just imagine the conversation that goes around the dinner table with you and Jeff. It must be similar to Joe and I. And the kids are so involved in our business. Our daughters walk around breastfeeding their dolls. and yours are walking around swaddling now.
I know. I was working in my office with spring break last week, and she was busily singing in the corner, and she showed me this little drawing that she did. And I was like, oh, that's cute. And she asked me for scissors. I heard her snipping away, and then she said, Mom, can I have the camera? And then, hey, Mom, look at this. So, of course, I was delighted when I thought we should show everyone because it's really pretty funny.
We have to say, she did this all on her own. I'm just blown away. She's going to be our, Taylor, watch out. Seriously, I think I'm going to hire her. All right, let's show the little video here. It's awesome.
I guess your babies are getting ready for bed. But wait, there is one more baby that is missing. Dun, 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 dun. I'm over here. Oh, there she is. I'm ready to be swaddled, but I just don't want to break it. Ah! Okay, this is how you swaddle. You take the corner of the blanket and you put it to the middle. You take the baby very gently and set her down. Then you take the corner and you put it over here. You tuck it under the baby. And then you take this corner, put it up, tuck it under the baby. And then you take this corner, pick it up, tuck it into the back of the swaddle, and then there you go. You have your swaddle design, swaddle awesomeness. Ah, that is so good. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. Good night. And she's going to hop to bed. Hoppity, 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 hop. And she's right next to her best friend, Bluesy. Good night. Good night, Mommy. We love you.
Oh, is that the best or what? Oh, my God. Lynette, you got your hands full over there like I got mine over here.
I know, she is so funny, and that was very creative of her. I loved it. It's like, oh my gosh, should I put that on YouTube?
Oh
She's
my!
like, okay.
Let me tell you something. That was so cute, and just the way she was like narrating the whole thing, and I love the way she threw in the little swaddle design awesomeness. Swaddle. Oh, what did she say? Swaddle awesomeness.
I know, it's so funny.
That was fantastic. That was fantastic. Oh my God. Let's go back for a moment, back to the whole SIDS conversation, because again, such an important topic. You know, there are many things that contribute to the risk of SIDS, and you know, one of them is, you know, you want to sleep your baby on their back. Overheating can contribute to that too. They say pacifier use, right?
Right. They do recommend the use of a pacifier. There's been studies that show that there's a reduced risk. And then, you know, they also talk about your baby should be sleeping on a firm surface. The AAP recommends that they sleep in their own space in a bassinet or a cradle or a crib near the mother's bed. And
Yes.
I think that there was some people talking about co-sleeping.
Yes.
But, you know, if the baby's in their own space, again, no soft objects, no pillows, no big fluffy loose blankets. And then a really, really important one is that we shouldn't miss is that there really should be a smoke-free environment.
Yes.
So you should always keep baby's environment smoke-free by not smoking when you're pregnant or near your baby or in any room or area where your baby spends time or sleeps.
And that even goes for people who are smoking and smell like smoke around the baby, correct?
Yes.
So
Yes.
I think a lot of people don't realize that it's not just smoking around the baby, but then an uncle, a grandparent, somebody, or a father who's smoking and then goes and picks up the baby and the clothes or smell like smoke.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't even want to be around that with a baby.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then also, you know, ventilation. You know, I think that using the fan, as long as the fan's not blowing directly on the baby and the room temperature is not cold, I think the use of a fan is fine. So if you have you know, if it's getting warm where you are, consider using a fan. You just really want the air circulating in the room. But if the room is really cold, I would really think twice about that.
Yeah. There's a question in the chat room. Can you use a breast instead of a pacifier? The answer is absolutely yes.
Yes.
The whole point is sucking.
Yes, the whole point is sucking.
The whole point is sucking, and the best place for your baby to suck is obviously at your breast. The pacifier is there just if the mom needs a break from it. But that does bring up another point of breastfeeding and its impact on SIDS.
Yes, so breastfeeding is encouraged. So breastfeed if you can. Allow baby to suck on their fingers. You know, a pacifier is fine. But sucking is the most organizing behavior of the newborn, and it helps with baby with sleep-wake control. So, yes, you know, breastfeeding is highly recommended. So breastfeed if you can.
Yes. You know, breastfeeding, I think this is one of the things that a lot of people don't realize is that breastfeeding greatly, I'd rather say not breastfeeding greatly increases the baby's risk of SIDS. And one of the studies, Taylor, will you give me the book over there? Because one of the studies I was reading, and I love the way that they quoted it too, because in the study, they talk about it. This was a study done in 1993 that found that the risk of SIDS increased 19% for every month that a baby was not breastfeeding, and 100% for every month of non-exclusive breastfeeding. So that's pretty incredible. And unfortunately, we hear too little of that, of what an impact breastfeeding has on the reduction or non-breastfeeding has on the increase of SIDS. You hear a lot about everything else, but somehow it's just not talked about the same way, and I find that to be very sad that people go into it not knowing that. Also sleeping your baby close to you. You know, there are many people who decide not to breastfeed, and then they decide because they're not breastfeeding, they'll sleep their baby down the hall in the crib, and what they're actually doing is increasing, now they've got two risk factors.
Right. You want to keep your baby preferably in your own room. So if you're uncomfortable with co-sleeping, room sharing is definitely recommended by the AAP. So set up the bassinet or crib on the mom's side of the bed, so you can be within reach. And you know, if you're very, very tired, you know, if you're totally exhausted, you know, you really should let that baby sleep in its own space. But otherwise, you know, the co-sleeping is something that is really a parental choice.
Yes. When we were talking earlier, I always tell my clients, I say, it's okay. It's more than okay to sleep with your baby if you choose to, as long as you set up the space to do that. What's not okay is to fall asleep with your baby when it's not planned.
Right.
That's when issues occur.
Right, and falling asleep in a recliner, that's a big no-no. That's there's been problems with falling asleep in a recliner.
Yeah.
So make sure it's purposeful, make sure you're aware, and you're just educating yourself. Making those informed choices is so important.
Yeah.
One other point I was going to say about creating a safe sleep environment is to please make sure all the cords are away from the baby's crib. Even if you have an older baby, make sure the cords from the monitors or from curtains are well out of reach of baby's reach. They say 3 feet away. So that's an important thing to be aware of, to check your baby's room.
Yes.
Especially with the older kids.
Yeah, definitely. I really want to make that point that, it really is a personal choice, and this whole idea that co-sleeping is not is dangerous in some way is not necessarily the truth. If we think about how babies were meant to sleep, they were meant to sleep close to the mother. It's the way all mammals sleep, is close to the mother. Cave women didn't put their babies in some separate cave. They kept their babies as close as possible to them, and I think that it's a good idea. I think for some people they can't get comfortable if the baby's sleeping with them, so that's okay. You do what's right for you. For me personally, I had a co-sleeper, and the baby slept next to me in a co-sleeper, and when I needed to breastfeed, I could reach over and grab her and breastfeed and put her back, and then I could stretch out, and it just helped me to sleep better. For others, they feel more comfortable sleeping together. I'm looking at the chat here, and Kay from My Precious Kid made a recommendation for a book. Kay, could you put that book back up again that you recommended? I didn't catch it, but it would scroll by too fast. I think it was Safe Co-Sleeping, and I think it's important that if you choose to co-sleep, that you learn what it is that you need to know to be safe with it. To be safe. I had a dad, and I'll never forget. It was late one night. I was in the store, and he was a big guy, and he walked in just as the store was closing, and he looked, literally, I walked up to him and I said, "Are you okay?" And he looked like he was had been crying, and he looked in tears, and I felt so bad. I said, "What happened?" He said, "Do you carry slings or carriers that are like a baby sling that would fit me?" And I said, "Sure, let me help you." And then I asked him what happened. He said, I have a 6-day-old, and I was sitting in the glider chair, and we're so sleep deprived and we're tired, and I was holding the baby and I fell asleep. And the baby obviously fell out of his arms and rolled to the floor, and they had just came back from the emergency room. The baby, thank God, was fine and unharmed, but it just goes to show you that in a split second you can have an issue because you are tired. And we fit him for a carrier, and he was very happy. He went home and he sat in his glider, and he put the baby in the sling, and if he fell asleep, the baby didn't tumble out of his arms. And so that may be a good suggestion if you're sitting in the glider with a baby and you're feeling very tired. To at least have the baby close to you. Baby wearing. We all love that too.
Yeah. We love baby wearing.
We love baby wearing, yes, definitely. We're going to be doing another show. We got to get Dr. Susan back on for baby wearing. She did a great job with us to wear your baby. We've been using the sleepy wraps a lot here in the store, and we just love them. Oh my goodness! Especially now going into the summer here, you could wear your sleepy wrap without anything. It's like a whole shirt. It covers you. Take the baby's clothes off, take off your top, and do skin to skin with your sleepy wrap. Just love that product. Started using it, and it's been fantastic. Everybody loves it here.
Right. And also, I just want to say one quick thing. Another thing about swaddling, and just remember that swaddling is a tool for parents to learn how to use properly. Just like you use a car seat or you use a sling, it's important to learn how to swaddle.
Yes.
It's not something that you swaddle your baby and you leave it in a room for 24 hours. This is something that is to support the baby and you when you need a break from holding the baby or wearing the baby.
Yes.
Maybe you need to have a shower and you don't have a second set of hands to hold the baby. Learning how to swaddle is really a great technique to have for the baby to comfort and soothe it.
Yes.
But we're not, saying swaddle your baby 24 hours a day.
Holding your baby is swaddling your baby, and I think that's the point. I think at the last live class that I did, when we talked about swaddling, when you think about it, when you're holding your baby, you're breastfeeding, you're cradling your baby feels swaddled, right? And it's that feeling of closeness, that feeling of tight security that the baby likes. It's the way they felt in the womb. And so when moms say, well, is it okay if I just hold the baby instead because I really just want to hold the baby? I'm like, absolutely. Swaddling's really meant to be able to do something for you, to be able to put the baby down and still have the baby feel good. But
and also for the people who aren't comfortable with co-sleeping and you still want your baby secure and close to you, that's a great tool for them to know how to do.
Absolutely. And in other cultures, this is what they do traditionally for thousands of years, right?
That's right. It goes back like 6,000 years.
Yeah, swaddling. Yeah, and tighter than we do it here, isn't it?
Right. And that's another thing. You want to make sure that you swaddle snugly because a loose swaddle can be actually irritating to the baby, but you don't want to swaddle so tight that you're impeding their breathing. So a good way to tell that the swaddle's not too tight is just to slide your hand down the front of the swaddle. You should be able to get your hand in between the baby and the swaddle.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. That's awesome, Lynette. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. It's been a wonderful night. So much great information, and I hope you'll come back and do this again with us.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys so much. This has been an awesome night. Did you guys enjoy the topic tonight? You guys have a good time? You know what we got for you next week? We got an awesome show next week. Next week, what?
Do tell.
Okay, so next week's show is going to be all about breasts and bras, right? Boobs. Can we say boobs tonight? Can everybody say boobs tonight? We got boobs? You want to bring Jamie back? Why don't we have Jamie come back and demo the bras? You gave me an idea. I could just see Jamie in a bravado bra. I wonder what bravado would think. All right, anyway, we're going to actually do some bra fittings right here on camera. We have some people who are volunteering to show us the way to fit a proper bra, okay? And I am a bra fitting expert. I do them remotely. I can do them for you if you want to, even if you're not here near the store. And next week we'll be talking all about fitting your nursing maternity bras and how to get the right fit, okay? So I will see you next week. Everybody have a wonderful Mother's Day. Enjoy yourself. This is your day. Let everybody cater to you. Honor yourself and honor your mom too. Honor your mom wherever she is. Kiss your babies. I love you all. Have a wonderful night. Good night, everybody. Mwah.